Mono-White is an archetype that has popped up in the last couple weeks in Pioneer, and it is a very powerful deck. A little while ago I talked about a Mono-White Humans deck that was kind of a homebrew. This is the tournament, high competitive level version of that deck. Let's talk about it and how it gets around Dimir Inverter. The video starts right now. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below. Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you for spending your time with us. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel are Magic. I am Joel. We're going to talk about Mono-White, beating up the top 8 lists here in Pioneer recently. But first, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button down there, it really helps us out. This deck first jumped onto my radar when I noticed that Gideon of the Trials was absolutely starting to skyrocket in price from where it was. And it turns out that Gideon of the Trials is a great way to get an emblem onto the battlefield that says you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win, to get around that Dimir Inverter combo. Dimir Converter. That's the combo version of Dimir Inverter. Built around Gideon is a very solid mono-white deck that also runs Ballista and Heliod combo for an infinite win. This deck has got a lot of cool things going for it. You're running 5 copies of Gideon with a 6th copy of Gideon of the Trials in the sideboard to make 4 copies of Gideon if you definitely are playing against Inverter. Gideon of the Trials is a card you're going to want to play at an interesting time. You don't want it to be Thoughtseized. If you're playing against Dimir Inverter specifically, you don't want it to be Thoughtseized, but you do want to get it down before their combo goes off, because they don't have until game 2 a ton of game 1 interaction with Gideon of the Trials. Secondly, to that, this deck has got a very cool combo going on. I'm sure you're familiar. Heliod and Walking Ballista. Heliod can give a creature lifelink. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature enchantment you control. Walking Ballista can remove a +1/+1 counter to deal 1 damage. So if Walking Ballista has lifelink, you're just infinitely pushing these counters off and on, and you're just machine gunning down whatever you want to kill and gaining a ton of life in the process. Outside of that, you got Knight of the White Orchid. We talked about this in our Pioneer Sleeper series, and that card is absolutely killer in this deck. You've got Arcanist's Owl for a little card advantage. Go down, search for an artifact or enchantment. Artifact. You see what we're going for. It comes with Stasis Snare, which can exile a creature, which is excellent, especially against Dimir Inverter, but it also gets out, a nasty spirit lord that you can't deal with or something like that. And it starts with the best 1-drop in the entire game. I don't want to hear argument on this. Thriving Inspector. It is phenomenal. In the sideboard, we've got Damping Sphere for tapping combo. We've got Rest in Peace for anything graveyard. An extra Gideon of the Trials for Dimir Inverter. Glare of Heresy is I mostly used it in mirror matches. Deicide and Baffling End if you just need to clear the ground from a lot of early creatures on the opponent's side so that you can punch through and do some damage. Let's look at some gameplay and you can see how the deck operates. So in the first game I want to show you, I believe this is the game against Sultai. We see our opening hand and it's solid. We've got a Walking Ballista, we've got the Knight, we've got a Gideon of the Trials, and at this point I'm not aware of what we're playing against, and so Gideon of the Trials in the opening hand is great just in case we're playing Dimir Inverter. We see Lumbering Falls hit the battlefield, and we are assuming that's not a Dimir, Sultai Inverter build, so we're safe with that. Now, a lot of times we like to play Knight when we're on turn 3 but haven't played a 3rd mana yet, so that we can go up to 4 mana on turn 3. However, sometimes you just want it to be a 2/2 first striker, and that's completely fine. Thought Erasure is going to hit here. Looking at this hand, Gideon is probably the pick, and that's what they go for. They've probably got ways to kill creatures, possibly Arcanists, but I'm also 2 mana off of being able to cast Arcanists anyway. We end up top decking a Gideon, and so we say, alright, well, you took one, you can have one of our other Gideons of the Trials. So we're just going to prevent all the damage from the Watery Grave so we can take Gideon up, and we're going to say go. They hit a 3rd mana, they hit a Thoughtseize. Okay, you know what's in there, grab the Arcanist's Owl. That's what I would have taken as well. We got a Daxos that we're drawing, and we just want to stay aggressive here, you know. We're on turn 4, so we're still, you know, we're pumping in ahead. They're already down to 14. Gideon can become a creature. We can all swing for 6 total, you know, possibly Walking Ballista here. We'd like to not idyllic range. The Knight gets pushed, and that's fine. Gideon still gets through, and they're at 10 before they're even on a 4th mana. They got 4 cards in hand. I'm feeling comfortable about our position here. Daxos hits the battlefield, so now we've got a little bit of blocking ability if they hit anything on the ground. But Daxos gets fatally pushed. They're down to 3 cards. Okay, we got to fight through the removal. We can't cast Arcanist's Owl yet, which is kind of a bummer. We've still got Gideon, however. This is where I'm trying to figure out exactly how Arcanist's Owl works. We find out that we don't have 4 white sources there. We could have tapped for 2 to get 2, but with the devotion. But Walking Ballista apparently is enough for them to want to go to game 2. Looking at our battlefield, looking at our sideboard, we've got against Sultai. It's a strong matchup. We'll go Gideon. Another Gideon of the Trials, because the Gideon Trials and Gideon Ally combo is pretty hard to, fight through if it hits the battlefield and you've just got all these Gideons punching through and making tokens. We don't really truly need Gideon's intervention here, but a 1-drop as well is not going to be hugely impactful on the game. Looking at the first game, we can assume maybe they have Uro, but I don't really want to cast that just calling Uro without knowing truly what we're dealing with. Looking at our opening hand, we don't like that opening hand, but we do like this one. We've got a 2-drop, we've got a 3-drop with Heliod, and we've got our Stasis Snare if something hits the battlefield. We can toss a basic Plains back. We might as well toss back the one that's not full art because we have class. We are going to play a Swamp and say go, and then we're able to on Offenza on turn 2, because like I said, we're going to save Knight for our turn 3 play, so that, assuming Sultai up here hits their lands, which the Sultai deck probably should hit 1, 2, 3 pretty consistently, Knight is going to be able to net us an extra card, so it will here. We get Unmoored Egoed, which is kind of a bummer. They have to choose a card before they get to look through, but then they will get to look through. I'm assuming they know what kind of deck we are. I'm assuming that they know that the Heliod Walking Ballista combo exists, and also Heliod is pretty mean with the rest of our creatures as well. Obviously, that's what they take. We draw an Arcanist's Owl, and we're fine with it. It is what it is. We can't really do anything about that. They go to combat. We adjust our UI a little bit and make sure, yep, there's our 4 Heliods. That sucks, but it is what it is. Here we play Knight before we drop a land so that we can take advantage of the trigger, clear out our deck a little bit, and get an extra land. Let's adjust our UI just a little bit more because we're perfectionists, and we go get a Plains with our Knight. It is pretty cool. We could have gone and gotten an Idyllic, it seemed, but don't have enough Plains to trigger it at the time of dropping. Also, we want to have that mana untapped so that we can at least pretend like we've got something that we can do. Next turn, we're going to be able to Arcanist's Owl, which is excellent. Hero's Downfall is going to come in and punch Offenza in the face so hard that she has to go lay down in the graveyard. And then we draw another Plains. Okay. Hopefully Arcanist's Owl here is going to give us some value, because otherwise they're at 17. We're already going into turn 5 for them when we pass back, and we only have a 2/2 on the battlefield, so we're not really getting the momentum going that we want. They're tapped out, so we swing in for 2, and really we have the ability to Stasis Snare here. We're going to try and catch them off guard. They don't know that we have the Arcanists in hand. Whether that was smart, stands to be seen. However, we can play the Arcanists here and hope that it doesn't get countered. The Sultai deck doesn't run a ton of counter in my experience. What you have to look for is removal there. And we break on the Owl. That's a bummer. But we can swing in for 2 here, because it's always fun to achieve 2 damage. And we can look really menacingly at the Sultai deck as they castle Vantress and point to our Owl and Just be like, yeah, look at our owl. You can't fight the owl. The owl's going to fight you. We wait for them to scry while we do bad English accents. Fabled Passage hits the battlefield. We've still got the Stasis Snare up, you know. They've just been kind of removing our stuff. We fight through it. The removal happens. If this is just going to be removal.deck, we can deal with that. Dark Petition, that's not good. This is a great combo. Wombo combo here. Dark Petition into adding the mana into Languish. Fairly backbreaking for us, especially when all it seems that we can draw is lands. So, we're going to go Arcanist's Owl. We're going to hope that we don't break again. We break again. Okay? Cool. So, they're going to Fabled Passage. Sultai's feeling good now. We're into turn 7. We only have a 3/3 flyer on the battlefield. We haven't gotten a lot of momentum going. They've now got a 4/5 indestructible. Comes back over and over again. Got Eternal Kefnet on the battlefield. So we're very not in a great place. Even if we remove it with Stasis Snare, which we will probably be forced to do just to keep punching through and hopefully we can figure something out, it's just going to go into their deck. When it's removed or exiled, Kefnet does not go away. Alright, Assassin's Trophy hits the Shrine to Nyx. Okay, you know, we could have... They didn't know that we were only going to draw lands there, and so we think about conceding, but we're like, you know what, let's keep punching in. We can go here. Arcanist Sal, they've only got one card in hand. You know, maybe we can get a little lucky. Maybe they're getting flooded out as well. They are, it seems. Look, they've got lands, we've got lands. They've got castles, which is different from us. We've got Arden Vale, that's nice. We can make some tokens. We see Gideon, that's pretty dope. Okay. Well, we've already been like, I'm sure there's no counterspell in this deck. That's awesome. They only got one card in hand. How could it possibly be a counterspell? Let's get Gideon going. We can drop 2/2s on the battlefield. Those are bears. Bears, wait, why are you tapping? Why are you tapping? What are you doing? And they counter it. Okay, sounds good. Pass back to you, 0 cards in hand. That also has Castle Vantress and Castle Locthwain. Not in a great place, but we do have them down to 7. We got 3 flying in the air. We know that Kefnet is coming back very, very soon. Maybe too soon. Hello, Kefnet. Welcome back to the battlefield. All right, we got Daxos. Is Daxos going to do it? I don't think Daxos is going to do it. We are going to need to top deck another Stasis Snare. Or an Arcanist's Owl that can dig down. It's just, we're not in a good place. We have to pass there. Maybe they'll attack. That would be dumb of them. Don't ever really want to be in a place in your MTG world where you're counting on your opponent being not good. And now we're returning cards to their hand. Okay, Daxos cannot remove cards from their graveyard. It's not that one. That's the mono black demigod, not the white demigod. Okay, let's go to game 3. Fine. We got close there. You know, as you saw, it's got some resiliency. It can keep the punches coming, which is nice. Here, Daxos tilted us a little bit, so we're taking out one Daxos just out of principle. We're putting them in the punishment box. Weren't really happy with exactly how he treated us last game. You know, we really wanted him to have that ability to take things out of the graveyard, but he didn't, and so we're mad at him. Just we gotta put him in the penalty box out of principle there. We're gonna play the best turn 1 play in the entire world of Magic: The Gathering, Thraben Inspecta, and they're gonna counter with the second best first turn play in Magic: The Gathering, Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is gonna look at our hand and go, huh, Gideon's Intervention. Okay. Well, we're just going to take the Heliod, because that's the card that we target with this deck. They're going to play Anafenza, swing for 1. Thraben, doing work. Absolute house of a 1-drop there. Anafenza, chilling out. Don't currently have another creature to play. Maybe we can top deck one. No, we can't. Now we need to top deck a land. In the meantime, why don't we swing for 3? We'll get 3 damage in. They're down to 12 on turn 3. That's pretty good. Not great, but solid. Clue is on the battlefield, so we can go and dig for our extra land, which is nice. They're tapping 3 mana. They're on Morty going. Goodbye to the rest of the Heliods. Goodbye, Heliod. We'll miss you. It was fun never playing with you in the back 2 matches of this game. Back 2 games of this match. I can't even do my own jokes correctly. Unmoored Ego is going to go dig through, take out all of our Heliods, and leave us absolutely godless. in the deck. But they're tapped out here, so if we can top deck a land, we'll get to Arcanist's Owl. That'll give us that'll give us some triggers off of Anafenza. Hopefully put something in our hand. We're going to put the... Ooh, Walking Ballista? Absolutely, we'll take that. Now we've got a potential 2/2 Ballista onto the battlefield. We're going to put our counters on the 2/3, make everyone a little bit bigger. And the Thraben and the Anafenza continue to do what they do, which is absolute work. Sultai taps its natural Sultai mana to Erebos Intervention for 2 on the Anafenza. Okay, good, not great for them. Kind of a desperation move, it seems, and they're getting mana screwed. We're completely fine on mana with 2 good removal in hand and 5 power on the battlefield, which is nothing to shake a stick at. They see that and they concede. We win the die roll! Hooray for die roll winning! That's absolute magic skill right there. We don't want to keep the 1-lander, obviously. We're going to pitch that one back. We'll keep this one because we got two 1-drops. And we'll pitch that one back. We got two 1-drops. We got the idyllic. It's not ideal, but you know, we'll deal with it. We can go Anafenza here and at least be pretty efficient with our mana, especially considering if we drop both Thrabens. Both Thrabens will trigger Anafenza. So pretty easy call right there. We see a Fabled Passage turn 1 from them. We see a Scryland turn 2 from them. So that leaves them up for maybe a Thoughtseize here, which they do have. Okay, we'll see a Thoughtseize. That's fine. I wonder, do they take the best card in Magic with Thrabens out of my hand? Or do they just go for the removal or the Arcanist's Owl, which is later card advantage? The Thoughtseize chooses... Arcanist's Owl. Perfect. That means we're going to be able to keep the game rolling. We can save the Knight for next turn and use our Thrabens here. It's going to suck to miss a land drop, but Knight could potentially catch us all the way back up if we do draw that land next turn. So here it's kind of a wonder of, you know, do we Anafenza, take full advantage there and swing out, start establishing a really strong board? Spoiler alert, the deck that we end up being against is Niv to Light, 5-color Niv, and so it seems right now like maybe something like that is happening. I'm not sure. Black, blue, red. I haven't really, you know, so either we're playing against a sub-tier deck or we're playing against 5 colors, which Breeding Pool hits and confirms we're playing against 5 colors, as does Caryatid confirm. So here it's just go, go, go. Once this deck gets a hold of the game, it's going to go over the top so hard that we're not going to be able to come back. So we're just going to keep going wide and try to build our board out. We go with Knight here, which is nice. We've got the extra land there, so we're going to be able to clue. We spread the love very evenly here so that we can maximize our damage getting through every turn. They're obviously not blocking any of it, it seems. They go to 6 very quickly. They don't want to even risk losing the Caryatid. Because of it having hexproof, the only thing that we could have gotten it with was some kind of punch, some kind of battle trick. They play Bring to Light with 5 colors. Not good. We'll see what they think is going to save them in this game. They're at 6 life as of right now. We have got more than lethal onto the battlefield. Enter the God Eternals. Okay. They know we have the Stasis Snare. They do go up to 10. We can clue here and get an extra card into our hand. We've got 6 on the battlefield, so we're 4 damage short. And we've got the Stasis Snare. So we've got some options. We clue there just for posterity's sake. We go land. Okay, so we've drawn all our cards early. That's fine. We can play Stasis Snare on the zombie army here. They know that they're still going to be, you know, just foot to the throat. They've got 4 cards in hand. We're going to go with the 6 damage to the face. They go down to 4 with 4 cards. They're going to draw 5th. So maybe another Bring to Light pulls them out here. Maybe a Niv Mizzet pulls them out here. But even Niv, you're going to have to tap your Caryatid, so you're not going to have a blocker. Time Raveler, I don't think Time Raveler is going to be enough here. Time Raveler can hit one of the creatures. We've still got 4 damage. They do have Woodland Cemetery and Swamp, so maybe they have like an Abrupt Decay, something of that nature. You know that they're going to be main decking stuff like that because of Niv hitting the battlefield and putting it right into their hand. They don't want to bring the Overgrown Tomb in untapped, which is understandable, but they play a blocker. Okay, so now we've got to try and find 2 more damage and we'll be good to go. However, here it's probably smartest to play Teferi to attack Teferi down, which we can for free essentially here. Caryatid's just a blocker, 0/3, so we don't have to worry about losing the Thrab into the swing. Teferi is going to absolutely die, but we can also just go face and keep the pressure on. They can't return anything to our hand. We can get them down to 2. We can drop 2 more 2 attackers onto the battlefield and be like, okay, look, you know, honestly, clear our board or you're going to die next turn. That's pretty much where we're at. You have to clear our board. I mean, we're going to swing through. Remove 2 creatures. You've got the Caryatids as blockers, but honestly, a lot of times you need those to tap to fix colors. You can't have Stomping Ground come into play untapped for sure. So you've got access to a lot of green, a lot of black, 2 blue, and 1 red. Outside of your Caryatids, obviously. Right here, we're just kind of waiting. We've put our cards on the table. This is essentially us saying, you know what, we can probably get you next turn unless you can wipe it all clean. Do your worst. You know, I think they're trying to figure out their outs here. You know, we've got Caryatids to block, the 2 powers on the field. Dryad Militant's not really going to make a difference here. So, you know, we might as well just go to attacks and see what they got. We're attacking with all creatures. We're going at your face. You can block 2 of them. If 1 gets through, we win. This is like a touchdown play here. We're just going to send everybody to the end zone, and if 1 gets through... They've got some removal, it seems, but they have to tap a blocker to do it. Okay, so they've got 1 of each color. No. They untap. They're not going to play it. Okay, they are going to play it. Now we got 2 blue. What do they have? Maybe a Borrower? Brazen Borrower? Okay, we're back to the 5-color plan. They've got 4. They don't have 5 colors without the Caryatids, unfortunately, and I think that is the problem here. Okay, they bring to light at instant speed. Cast with 4 colors. Okay, so it's 4 or less. Fine. Can they find something? They can find something. Kunaros. Okay, so this sucks because 2's going to get through. The Caryatids are not going to die. The Kunaros is going to kill one of our creatures, and they're going to gain life. Here we're trying to play like, haha, we've got something, but we don't. We definitely don't have anything. Maybe we could get some kind of weird concession if we just tap weird. A little bit shady, but, you know, it was whatever. At that point, we're in a really rough place here, you know, because the Kunaros has Vigilance, and so it can swing in without him having to give up, our opponent having to give up a blocker. We're in a bad place. We're honestly in a very bad place. Kunaros was a good grab there with the instant speed bring to light. Then they play Niv Mizzet Reborn. Holy crap, are they going over the top of us now? This is what I'm talking about with this deck. You got to go. And you see how close we got. We got to 3 life. Okay. We absolutely punched our opponent down as quickly as we could. We didn't see, we didn't get to, you know, Ballista Heliod. We didn't get any kind of Gideons going. We do draw a Gideon, but at this point, it's like, Gideon, you're late to the party, bro. You're too late to the party. There's nothing we can do here. We can give everything... Oh, wait. Do we have an out here? Okay, they didn't swing with the Kunaros, which is interesting. We can Gideon Ally of Zendikar, Emblem. Everybody's a 3-power now, so it'll kill the Kunaros if it swings. We might as well attack and see what we can end up with. Oh, uh-oh. They've got an Abrupt Decay. They've just had the thing. They've had the thing every time we needed it. Luckily here, at the very least, we'll get a Caryatid down. We lose 2 creatures, though. The Niv Mizzet kills 1, and the Kunaros kills 1 as well. Now the Teferi's up to 4 again. They've got 5 cards in hand. We're Uroing. They're going up to 9. It's just like, okay, alright, okay, fine. So, what do we do here with the sideboard against Niv to Light? Glare of Heresy's not really going to do anything. Baffling End, you know, Baffling End is 3 CMC or less, so you know we could ace a Neuro. But is that really the problem with this deck? The problem is the mana fixing, the colors. You want to, you know, if they don't have 5 colors, they're not going to get great Bring It to Lights. Yes, we're going to play first. And so we just kind of run it back. You know, we're on the play here. We want to run our fast version, our aggro version out. So we've got a Stasis Snare there behind me. We got a Stasis Snare. We got 3 lands, and we've got a 1 and we got a 1-drop, and we got a creature to play on turn 2. So we just got to go as quickly as possible. We see a Daxos, that's excellent. We can swing with the Thraben. We can get Dryad Militant out there so that at the very least, you know, their graveyard's not in play for instants and sorceries, but let's just be mana efficient. We can cast Daxos. Of course they get a turn 2 Caryatid because they always get a turn 2 Caryatid. We can Anafenza and Dryad here, which is nice. We can hopefully hopefully that Anafenza sticks, because that Anafenza will be the difference here. If they can't continuously block with Caryatids, then it's going to be huge for us. We could also use an extra land and a Gideon ally of Zendikar. We learned last game an earlier ally is going to give us turn 3 Kuneros. It's just like, come on. Luckily we have a Stasis Snare, so we can get a lot of damage in here. This is going to be quite a punch. And apparently that's all they had going for us, and they quit the entire match. I haven't played a lot of the Niv to Light deck. I'm assuming with it being 5 colors it can get a little restrictive. I feel like they had a good deck matchup against us, because either we're going to go under quickly enough to take them down fast, or they're going to survive and go over the top, and the Caryatids really help them do that. The deck is very cool. I'm totally pleased by this deck. We didn't even get to pull off Heliod Walking Ballista combo, and we were able to win every game that we played. It was kind of wild when I was shooting the gameplay for this. We went on a hot streak, but it felt very strong and like we were in control a lot of our matches. I appreciate everybody watching. Like I said, if you wouldn't mind hitting subscribe down there, it really helps us out. If you want to support us on Patreon, we've got a Patreon. The link is down in the description below. Giveaways every month over there. Very cool stuff. Go check it out and see if it's a good fit for you. And if you want to hang out with us, of course, we've got a Twitch streaming twice weekly, Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Appreciate everybody watching. We'll catch you later.